All right, we are live. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. You're watching this live on Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, share, tell everyone you know. Also, go find us on Instagram and Twitter at Hollywood Matrimony. Go find us. Woo-hoo. Okay, right now, real quick, we're going to share. It's telling me, hey, guess what? Hollywood Matrimony's live. It told me right now.
Did it?
Yep, so I'm going to go share it.
What did it tell you?
It told me we're live.
How did it know?
I don't know how it knows. It's the interweb. It's Skynet, because Skynet is real. Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. I'm going to share it everywhere. Sharing it everywhere to all my friends.
Well, that's a short share.
Wow. That's rude.
Thank you.
I'm going to go send a message, be like, come watch the show. And then we're going to talk about movies.
We got all kinds of talking about.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah, whenever you are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we have a plethora of movies. Come watch the show. Where do you want to start, babe? Because we got a weird collection and assortment of things happening.
Okay, so
what you want to go in order of release?
But we do. But this movie's older.
Okay,
like
so
not even just older, but like when it released.
You want to start there?
Yeah, we can if you want.
Let's start there. We're gonna go old to new. How about that? How about that?
All right.
Okay, catch me outside. How about that? I'm gonna share my screen. Yes, I am. I'm gonna share this one. And you're going to see it pop up real big. And I'm going to make it smaller because you need to see me. I'm prettier.
Does anybody need to see you? Is that really
I think they really do. So today we're going to talk about the movie King Kong. Not the new one. Not Godzilla versus Kong. None of that. We're talking about the 1976 version of King Kong. This is when I was born. Was in 76. So y'all now know how old I am.
She's old as dirt.
But you're older than me. But that's when this movie came out. So obviously I had never seen it. I don't know how I moved.
The reason we're talking about this is not because just our normal love for the King Kong and all things monsters, but Shout Factory has released an all-new collector's edition that's available now. So I figured we'd both dive into it. She had never seen it. It had been years since I saw it. And then I think after watching it, I realized I never watched all of it. So, but it stars Jeff Bridges. The late,
very young Jeff Bridges.
The late Charles Grodin, who just recently passed away. And is it Jessica Lange?
Yes, Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange in her first feature film.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing about this is that to me, in a way, you'll see it in this movie and the next movie we're going to talk about, Hollywood hasn't changed their method. For this one, you have to have the blonde girl in skimpy clothing that needs the man to help her.
Well,
rescue mentality.
Okay, so first, before you go into that aspect, in the defense of that movie,
bothersome.
In the defense of that, this was in fact a remake of the original King Kong movie,
which I have seen Faye Ray's with her.
Yeah, so this is
how
a remake.
Did I not see this? I don't know
because parents didn't let you saw the Faye Ray one like with me.
Did I? Probably.
Yeah, years later. You didn't see. I'm pretty sure you didn't watch the Faye Ray with your parents. Your parents don't watch movies.
Who knows?
And when they do, they can only be on The Wonderful World of Disney or
Lifetime.
Like her parents are the kind of people you go to their house for holidays and they use that stupid fireplace thing on the TV that plays music and has puppies running around.
Oh, love it. And we watch Puppy Bowl too.
It's so annoying.
Oh, it's so cute.
I've never found. I wondered who are the people that use these stupid things.
Those channels. That's
the only one that I ever wanted to use that I've never used is Star Wars put one out.
Yes, that fireplace.
Yeah,
Darth
basically
Vader.
Darth Vader burning for 3 hours. That one's funny.
Okay.
But anyway, so diving into this new King Kong movie, first of all, what did you think?
Overall, it was fine. What I love the most is what they did with King Kong itself. Some of it obviously was a man in a suit, and a lot of it was animatronic, and I really liked it. There's some parts that are obviously hokey and doesn't do well with the lapse of time, like modern technology.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
Because there's one thing where he's like,
yeah, it doesn't hold
looks
up
a little
for
cheese.
Visuals, it looks like a movie from the 70s.
Correct. But for the time period, it's actually pretty cool what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, I agree.
With a giant animatronic hand and her sitting in it. I mean, a lot of that's really cool.
There's only one part that but it's part of the charm to me, and it's when they built the actual full-size King Kong body, and he's standing there, but he looks like something you see at like Showbiz Pizza, because he's just standing there, arms like this, he's just kind of going.
Yeah, there was a weird one where his hands were all like.
But it was because it was trying to do a wide shot, and like I applaud what they did, but the angle they had his arms for some reason, I don't know who thought that was a good idea, because had they just had him stand like normal with a roar, it would have worked fine. But it was that weird arms automatically made it fake.
Yeah, but you know what they did was pretty creative. I'm telling you, I've had something in this eye like since last night. Like I said, the lady in the skimpy clothing, whatever, typical formula. But the weird thing were some of the mannerisms and stuff of King Kong was a little bit sexualized.
Well, that was always sexualized to Fay Ray as well.
I know, it's just.
But
awkward.
yeah, there is a creepy element in this one of like when he's blowing on her, right? He gives her a blowjob, but he's literally blowing air on her to dry her off.
Yes, so she doesn't
when he threw her in the water to clean her or let her bathe herself, and then he's going, and then she's into it, and she's all like, but then the man in his suit thing is starting going.
Yeah, it's a little bit
super creepy and weird at the same time.
It's very strange,
but it's a movie that, interesting enough, there's an extended version. In I don't know, and I'm sure this has probably happened before. I was super itchy all of a sudden. I've never heard this before, but it has.
You want the eye drops? Okay, I can help you.
Theatrical version, right? And usually get like the extended director's cut or something. That's not the case here. It's the extended TV edition.
Yes.
Which apparently it sold the rights to NBC, I think it was. Might have been ABC. But anyway, they sold the rights, the TV distribution rights. And they went in and they edited down some of the weird
sexualized
and stuff they didn't think should be on network TV. And they added in footage that was deleted to make a longer cut of the film. So they said it actually changes some dynamics of the film. Like we thought about it, and then we're like, I'm not going to watch a longer version of a movie that's technically edited down. I want to see the whatever weird, creepy version that came out of the theater.
It was a little bit weird and creepy, and it was already long enough. What has happened? Oh, this dog is scratching her. The dog scratching herself and hitting the table.
And so the whole table started shaking.
Yeah, it was already a little bit long, I thought.
It is
in
long.
some parts, and
biggest problem with that movie, and then we'll kind of move on because there's not a lot to talk about. But is it could have been trimmed down in the middle pretty heavily.
Yeah,
they spent a lot of time doing nothing.
Correct.
Trying to get to the island, and they find her and set up. There's like it's too much, and Charles Grodin is like overacting in this movie big time. It's like there's a moment where he's looking at stuff, and then he's going, oh. And the problem is I think some of that's the time period. Yeah. A lot of people overacted
overact
back then. But anyway.
It's fine.
But I agree with you. The Kong stuff is pretty impressive for the time period and what they pulled off. It spawned a sequel called King Kong Lives. I don't think any of the same people are in it. I don't even remember.
Jeff Bridges, you know what? Is Jeff Bridges.
He's always Jeff Bridges.
That's what I like. And at this age, in this movie, the kid looks just like him.
Which kid?
His kid from the other show.
What show?
Doesn't he have a kid that looks just like him?
In what show?
I don't know. Now I got to go look it up.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Jeff Bridges' kid. Let's Wikipedia.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeff Bridges' kid. Anywho, doesn't matter.
I know Bo Bridges, Lloyd Bridges.
Jeff Doesn't he have a kid? Oh, I do like Bo
Ezra Bridges. Bridges in Madison County. 21 Bridges.
Oh
the bridge over the River Kwai.
Okay. I'll go look it up.
Anyway,
maybe I'm thinking
King Kong, the collector's edition, 1976 film, is available now on Blu-ray. Features all kinds of bonus features, I believe, from Shout Factory.
Shout!
And you can get it now.
Love it.
What's next, sister?
Okay. Now we are going to talk about.
Tell us about yours. You have
that's what I'm about to do. So we're going to go here to this, if you can see it. This is My Fair Lady. We should have started with this if we're going.
You know what they should have done with this? Instead of they should have done taken the by Menon commercial and done the advert that goes My Fair Lady. They've been the same thing. See.
Okay. This movie was originally released in 1964. This is the re-release, and it's now available in 4K Ultra HD. Dun, dun, dun. And it's pretty cool looking, actually. So the review is available on the website, HollywoodMatrimony.com.
I like how you promote your review, but you don't talk about any of my reviews.
All the reviews. I share links to your reviews.
I know you do.
I'll share a link to this too. Anywho, so I really enjoyed the movie. I think in my mind, I'm always thinking, why isn't Julie Andrews in this? Because she was in the stage version. And so that's my first thought. But then again, this came out at the same time, or was being made at the same time as Mary Poppins. So if she had been in this, then we wouldn't have had her as Mary Poppins, which I think is so iconic. Like, she, to me, is a Mary Poppins, you know, which I enjoy that movie. I know you don't. Okay, the best thing about this movie is perhaps the sets and the costumes. Everything is big, dramatic, and beautiful. And Audrey Hepburn is beautiful in this movie.
This whole description is just sounding like you're talking about me.
It is.
I'm big, bold, and beautiful.
There you go. That's another song from another musical.
Wow.
Anyways, it is a musical, so if you're not into musicals, it may not be for you, but you should be, because it's an actually fairly decent movie. Again, one of the things in this that you're going to notice is the whole Hollywood formula of the very much older man with the younger woman as a potential love interest. It's kind of barfy, but that's just how Hollywood works, so you get used to it. You're not very much older. We're like nearly the same
I'm like
age.
3 years older, 2 years older.
2 years. Anywho, if you've never seen it,
It is
you
barfy.
should.
Our relationship is barfy, though.
No, if you've never seen it, you should check it out. It's a really decent film. I love it. I think it's great. There you go.
All right, it's available on 4K now from Paramount.
Beautiful to watch. Just know the
Does
costumes.
the 4K enhance it very well?
Yes, it's actually very dramatic and bold. And anyway, the costumes. That's what you're there for, is the costumes.
Is it bold and beautiful?
It is bold and beautiful.
Weekdays.
There you go. So check it out if you're a fan. There you go.
Okay.
Liked it a lot.
All right, moving on.
I
What
would
else you
watch
got?
it again.
Actually, let me tell about mine, and then we go back to your
Yeah,
one.
which one is that?
That one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the next movie
Oh,
that
then
I'm
I'll
going to talk about, that's one I wanted to watch with you, but we didn't get a chance to.
Yes,
It's
this
called-
looks crazy.
Yeah, it's called Spare Parts. It's very much a grindhouse type film. And the premise is it's this grunge band, this female grunge band,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And they're playing this gig, and they're trying to make it, and they fight amongst themselves and whatever. And there's like the weird creepos that flirt with them, and all the normal stuff that goes on anytime you put a group of girls together. There's always the creepo guys.
Creepy.
Well, then they end up getting kidnapped.
Oh, the band?
The whole band gets kidnapped, and they wake
Oh
up
my.
dismembered. Like parts of bodies are
Oh,
missing.
different parts?
Yeah, like not fully dead, but like missed part of an arm or this. And they've been replaced with like chainsaw arms and axe arms, and they're forced to fight in this Thunderdome-like arena.
How crazy
And now
is
it's in
that?
this weird cult. It's not like a futuristic thing either. It's like a present day type thing, but they're in this like weird Road Warrior-esque cult layout place in this backwoods town, and they're fighting them. And so like now you have the whole thing of the people in the band that fight over who wanted to be famous and who was this, and the sisters that argue. And now they're fighting the arena. Then it has a little bit of a Spartacus thing where there's like this big, gigantic guy that trains them to fight in the arena. And they're fighting other people, not just each other. But then they start falling in love with some of the people, but then they're turning on each other. And it's this really bizarre thing that's highly gory and entertaining, but doesn't work all the time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun movie, but it gets too cheese sometimes, and sometimes it goes too far off the rails for you to stick with it. And I don't mean because of how over the top it is, but it's because how people are constantly, like this one guy that's like a creepy guy who's kind of involved with kidnapping them and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly one girl kind of falls in love with him, and she's kind of turning against the rest of them because she's in love with him. But then, they all want to escape together, but then they try to kill him, and then she's upset because they're trying to. There's a lot of unevenness to some of the stories. I understand what they're trying to do,
Yeah.
but it just became this really fun, twisted, bizarre, uneven film.
Now, just looking at the poster, how does this prosthetic thing work? See, that looks a little bit
The
fake.
big axe.
Yeah.
Well, what they do is they cut off their arm, and then they put on like this cap.
Yeah.
So it has like a thing where it like puts on a twist and locks on.
I see.
So, but then they the first one they get are kind of cheese, and the next ones they keep getting upgrades.
Oh, okay.
And so then they talk about it like there's one they put on, and the girl's like, I can't fight with this thing; is too heavy to drag. So then they're out there making them like hit spare tires and fight things and trying to learn to use them. And then another one gives them one that their thing also shoots like nails and stuff, and it's like their handmade craziness. And then of course, and there's the guy that's running. He's like the creepy Bartertown leader kind of guy. It's weird. It's a bizarre movie. If you like weird grindhouse cinema, then it's a movie to check out.
This guy.
I do. I love him, and it is a fun movie. It's just it could have been great, but I think some of it was hindered probably by budget.
Yeah.
I think some of it was hindered by trying to be more than it was, and it should have just gone in all the way what it was doing and just stayed with it.
All the way crazy.
Yeah.
Just go crazy.
It might have made more sense had they made it in more of like a post-apocalyptic world, like Mad Max or something. But I think the interesting twist.
That's what it looks like, though.
Yeah, and I do think it's an interesting twist, making it in just like a normal time, but you feel like you're in this other world because of where they take them.
I see.
So anyway, and of course you have the usual slaves and the people that have been there for a long time. Then the one that's been there, but she's going to help the people get away. Of course, but then she's not, and it's all over the place. But if you like old grindhouse cinema with some gore, some kills, some badass chicks, none of these chicks are really that. We'll give them credit. None of these chicks are really victims. Like, even though they've been taken and mutilated and whatever, they're still all like, screw you, and ready to fight and kill somebody. Mm-hmm. That's the other part, that they seem to accept this whole thing pretty quickly, and then we're fine with just getting their weapons and fighting. And, like, then suddenly they want to escape again. You know what I'm saying? So there's a little... that's part of the whole thing you would think about them trying to escape and get out of this. They seem to kind of embrace it and get with the training, and nobody's really trying to escape. And so that's where it started to kind of losing me. So it is what it is. A movie called Spare Parts. I believe it's through RLJE Films. It's coming out this Tuesday on the Blu-ray and the DVD.
Okay. I'm going to go here then. I'm going to talk about one of mine. We're just taking turns.
Let's go, sister.
So this next movie I want to talk about is on Netflix. It's available now. It's called One of Us, and it's a documentary.
One of Us. It's about Attica?
It is not.
Oh.
But it's that mentality.
That's a discipline.
So
Attica's a prison.
I know, but the One of Us thing. So this movie is following a couple of individuals who are seeking to leave the Hasidic Jewish community in New York. So for those of you who don't know, I'm into this. So I get into these weird different sects and religions. So
you don't understand how she works. She finds something and then she'll latch onto that topic for a while.
Like Scientology.
And
now
she'll
it'll be about this Satan
she'll watch
church.
everything she can find in relation to that topic.
Yes. But anyways, so for those of you who don't know, after Hitler and the whole German Nazi thing and the Holocaust, which some people out there still don't believe is true, whatever. The
Holocaust didn't happen.
I know, right? The remnant population of that community decided we are going to band together and we're never going to let this happen to us again. So those people moved to the U.S. seeking asylum, and they stay in their own little community, typically in the New York area, and that is the Hasidic Jewish community. They are a more stricter version of your typical Jews. They follow still a lot of the rites and rituals of the Old Testament, but they are very secluded in their own community. They do not allow you to have internet. You're not allowed to have TV. They don't want you to have any contact with what they call the outside secular world, because they believe that that will taint them and bring sin into their groups. So they still believe in arranged marriages. The families will get together and decide, like, this person's going to marry this person. It's a good match. The women are not allowed to work outside of the home. Their job is to take care of the husbands and to have children and to raise the children.
So far, that sounds accurate.
They do not go to school. They do not really receive a proper education. Women, like especially, women don't. And then the men only go to Jewish school. They don't learn history. They don't learn math. They don't learn any of these normal skills. Okay. Gotcha. So this particular story follows three people. It's one man who was married at the age of 18 and had kids with this lady, but realized this was just not the life for him. He was going outside into the outside community, just living life. So had kind of a double life thing happening. His wife knew about it and didn't say anything. But eventually they got divorced, and because he was going outside, she kept the children and he had to leave. And so he is now in LA trying to be an actor. And it's funny because a lot of the roles he's getting, or he was going after, were Jewish roles, because he's like, I can do that. But it follows kind of his story. Separately, we have another little boy who unfortunately was abused as a child, sexually abused by one of the rabbis. And of course, unfortunately, they victim shamed him. He must have done something. It was your fault. What did you do? And so because of that, obviously had a hard time staying in the community, and he looked to drugs to fill that void, and he overdosed a couple of times. And so his father sent him away to
Are you gonna just tell them the whole movie?
Florida. No, because this is just their stories, but that's not even.
I feel like I've gone through the whole movie. I'm like, well, honey, they're not going to watch it if you tell them the whole
got
movie.
to. So that's his story. Then there's a third person. It's a lady who has been married for a gazillion years. Not a gazillion. She got married when she was 18. She's been married for 7 or 8 years, but she'd been abused. So domestic violence, but she wasn't allowed to report it because her place is in the home. You do what your husband says. That kind of mentality. But it was
here too.
But it was to the point where it's like rape, essentially, because the husband wanted that. She was forced to stay home and take care of all these kids. And when she finally did call the police and they took him away, then she started being victimized by the entire community. And then it's watching her struggle to fight for her rights, the divorce, and the kids. So that's kind of the 3 stories we're following. Yes.
Did she also have to fight for her right to party?
She did. But it's crazy just watching these people fight for what we would believe is basic rights and human justice. But because they're within this little community, she pointed out, and so did the other little kid that was abused, that speaking up and saying something was against their laws, because you don't do that. The community is family. You don't betray your family. So it's crazy to us from an outside perspective. But I would watch that. There's a lot of documentaries about it. And I honestly first really became aware of this back in like the 90s when Oprah did an interview about the communities and went into these people's homes and talked to the ladies and families. It's interesting. Like you said.
I watched Oprah.
Yeah. I do cling on to things, so I'm super into this. I'm super into Scientology. I'm super into.
She's not into Scientology.
No, I'm not into it. I am fascinated by the study of researching.
I don't want people starting to try to rescue us.
I'm not a Scientologist,
but I do need help.
But like now, I'm going to be researching the children and the Manson thing, and all of these religious organizations that.
See, if she would listen to me more often, I could lead her down the path of so many cool things.
Instead of helping people, they're really doing a little bit of harm. But anyways, it's available now on documentary on Netflix, One of Us. Check it out.
There it.
I found it a little bit fascinating.
Moving on, sister.
Okay.
What else we got?
Now we're moving this away.
Yeah, what, 3 more?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we start with the Asian thing, and we'll do her, and then we'll do that last, because that's the biggest one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go there. Oh, we're just going in the order in which I placed them.
Okay, then look at you, act like you know something.
I'm building a show.
So the next one is a movie that I've been eager to watch.
Yes.
We kind of got behind, but I believe it came out last week. But it's a new movie called Deliver Us from Evil, which is released by Well Go USA. It's my favorite. One of my favorite.
They're the best.
Say, I really love Well Go USA, mostly because they deliver all the good Asian cinema, like some of the top notch, not just martial arts flicks, but films like this that are like action thrillers. They do horror.
I love it.
But they also do other stuff. They have a lot of other movies that come out that aren't foreign cinema stuff.
Correct.
They have become the premier
for Asian cinema.
Asian cinema, and one of their big offices is like literally less than 30 minutes from my house.
Yes.
I've gotten to go to their offices and check it out. It's kind of cool. They're great people. But anyway, that was just a small shout out for them. But a movie called Deliver Us from Evil. Essentially, the premise is about an assassin who is he had to leave due to a assassination thing gone wrong kind of situation. He left, right? I guess he's kind of in hiding, retirement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But his ex-wife was murdered.
Yes.
I guess we'd say.
Yeah.
There was a kidnapping and a murder, which forces him to come back. So while he's back trying to solve the mystery of this kidnapping/murder, somebody from his past comes to hunt him. So now there's this whole game of cat and mouse. There's this hunt for solve the mystery of the kidnapping murder. There's a guy who's hunting him. Then there's these other people that are trying to kill them both. There's like this whole multi-layered thing of stuff happening that I thought was going to be kind of just a run-of-the-mill crime thriller, murder mystery kind of thing. And this ended up being like that.
Plus,
there was some badass action sequence stuff later in too.
And this crazy assassin dude with this cool neck tattoo.
And he's not even an assassin. He's more of a...
He's like a gangster.
He's like a mob.
I don't know, but...
He's just batshit crazy.
But he's crazy, and he's like killing people with crazy things. And he's got a big machete.
Yeah, he likes cutting people with the knives.
He's just... It's... The amount of knife work is what I was going to mention. There was a bunch of good shoot 'em ups.
Well, the movie is it's technically a Korean film, but the majority of the movie takes place in Thailand.
Correct.
Which I'm automatically sucked into because I love Thailand.
And that's actually one of the...
And I recognize a lot of the places they're running around in Bangkok.
And it's one of the kind of the pivotal things is he's Korean, so he doesn't speak Thai. So he has to find someone to help translate. But he's in the middle of these like very emotional, like time sensitive, like tell him right now. And she's having to translate, and it's like all this back and forth.
This lady boy.
It's a lady boy.
They don't, and again, it's another case of them not feeling the need to touch on that.
Well, but if you know Thailand, you don't have to touch on it.
No, because Thailand, there's a very big population / market of the lady boys there.
Would we call them here transgender?
They're transsexuals.
Yes, because they dress like women or live
they're transsexuals.
This gets confusing.
Because a transvestite is a guy that just dresses as a woman.
Well, that's not what they are.
Well, a transsexual typically is in the transitioning, so they might have breast implants but still have a man appendage.
Parts.
Which is a lady boy typically has lady boobs.
Or some of them just dress up.
Yeah, well, no, that's a different thing. But a standard lady boy has both a penis and mammary glands.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
But anyway, he meets her.
I need to do a parenthesis.
Yeah, but before you talk about it, but I like that they never touch base on if she is or isn't. You can just tell, and then it forms this bond. But it's not a weird sexual bond.
It's a friendship. It's a legit
friendship. It's a friendship out of necessity that starts off as not so much of a friendship. It becomes something more it's kind of weirdly beautiful to watch.
It is.
So I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
Parentheses, and I'm going to get back to that. Just when you go to Thailand, you got to go first.
Because we all know you're all going.
But you need to go.
Yes,
but when you're there and like you go watch their shows, they have like Vegas style shows where they have Cher and Britney and whatever. These men are beautiful.
Oh, yes.
Like their makeup techniques. Like if you watch these YouTube videos with these people doing makeup and they can transform them. So all these Asian makeup videos, they are beautiful.
The mentality of a U.S. person who thinks about, you can tell a man in drag. Here, most of the time, a lot of times, yes, you can.
Because it's the overdone.
But I will tell you now, even a normal she-male, if you will, here, a lot of times you can still tell. I've seen them. When I was out with a bunch of the fighters, we were out hanging out in the town.
When you walk down the thing, and
you're walking in
you want to show? You want to show?
The street. And one side is all shopping. The other side is all bars, which is regular, female strippers. And there's ladyboys clubs and all that stuff. You cannot tell the difference.
They're beautiful
when they're standing there. Like there's some of them. Like obviously there's some.
Some you can, but some of the more petite men.
I remember seeing this group, and it was a mix of female strippers and ladyboy strippers, and we could not tell the difference of who was which.
I'm just telling you. Anyway,
we found out one of the most beautiful ones that were there was a ladyboy over the female.
I'm just telling you. Well, there was one where we saw. I don't know where I saw it, but it was like a Britney. He looked like Britney.
I think that was the pictures we saw that show. Maybe. We were going to try to go to, and then we weren't able to make it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But back to the movie. The interesting thing is he connects with this woman now because he needs the translator. So this guy's like, I know a translator for you. She's a Korean lady who lives her time. So that becomes a thing. But their friendship is kind of like the underlying story because he's dealing with loss. He's trying to find this kidnapped girl. So he's got all this stuff going on, but she's just like here, kind of the sub level.
And she doesn't want to help him.
No, but at the end, you see the whole big picture. And oh, it made me cry. Like at the end, like
and
their connection.
The one things I really liked about the film was that he's very hardened through the whole film. Like he never's really nice to anybody.
He's just doing
like
his job.
He's not mean. He's just, even when he's trying to rescue this other person or try to find who's alive and who's not, and there's other people that are helping him. Like even when he's asking someone a favor, he's kind of a dick about it.
Oh, because it's a job
he's
to
very
him.
He's like being with her. He's very matter of factly, and comes off.
I
kind
know.
of like a
I
jerk.
was told again this week I was matter of fact,
which is fine. But it's like at some point you're like, look, you're supposed to be helping. You want me to help you, and you're going to be a jerk, you know.
And he's not. He's just doing a job. That's his thing. He's like, you want to take another job? Yes. I mean that's what he does. But I think the best is this crazy guy that you see with the crazy leopard shirt or whatever.
Yeah,
he is
awesome.
The best. He's got the crazy tattoos, like I was saying, and I do think he prefers like knife fighting. And that's
they talked about him, the fact that he likes to kill with a knife.
Yes, slowly, because he says, I like to see the eyes of my victim bleeding, and I'm like, this guy's crazy. But what I was going to tell you, there's one cool scene too where you noticed it too, like. The first guy, the main guy, he's shooting. He runs out of bullets, so he flips the gun around. He's like
taunting.
He's like blocking things. I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
I've seen that in other movies, but you don't get to see it enough. And I've seen it where they just kind of held it normal. Like he actually was holding the handle
it back
with it like this and fighting with
it. It was cool.
And that's what I was surprised about, because there is some martial arts-esque fighting. It's not a martial arts flick.
Correct.
But the fighting is all really aggressive and violent. Even though, yes, there's some of the crazy moves that in the real world probably wouldn't work as accurately as they do in the movies, but they were done in a way that it made you feel like real fighting, which is something I always like. Like Harrison Ford is still to me is one of the epitome of the real fight scene. Yeah. Because he punches somebody and he falls down when he's trying to hit them. It's like how real fights happen.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was a lot of like getting slammed into stuff and through stuff and flopping all over the place, and then people getting stabbed and still trying to fight. And then when you get to the last act, because it's a fairly long movie.
It's pretty long.
It took us 3 days to watch it because we kept watching it at night. We kept starting it at night and then dozing off, and then we get too comfortable in the afternoon and we dozing off.
Well, and this is when you got to pay attention because you have to read it.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, back it up. Let's start over.
But the third time we went back to finish it, we got all invested because we were wide awake. It was ready to go.
Well, and suddenly all this action starts happening.
Yeah, and it's in the middle. There's a few action pieces here and there, but it's pretty slow as it's building the intensity and the relationships and the characters. But when it kicks off the final action sequence, it goes on what seems like forever.
Yeah,
and it's a mix of fighting, gunfights, explosions, like everything you want in an action flick. And I wrote in my review, it has a sequence, and it's my two favorite visual shots in this movie. And one of them is going to sound pretty simple. Is a guy shoots the windshield of a car with a shotgun, but they show the windshield getting hit in slow motion, and it's a mixture of like dirt and glass, and it's one of the coolest shots I've seen before. But the other one, which I never thought anybody could rival, Chuck Norris and Good Guys Wear Black doing a jumping double sidekick through a windshield of a moving car. This one blew it away. It's a slow motion of this guy diving.
Because he's all
but it made sense how they did it, and it's a wide angle shot, and it's just, the movie is just really cool.
See, and I thought he was just gonna like jump up on top of the car.
But he
kept going in, and I was like, what?
So before you start thinking, well, that just wouldn't happen.
It would.
He shoots the windshield a bunch of times as the car's coming at him. So now you've weakened the windshield, and it's a guy who doesn't give a shit anymore.
He's just jumping, and he's all like,
yeah,
what?
And it's not like a fancy karate move. This is a guy who doesn't care. So when the car, he just dives at the car, and he plans to go through the windshield. He has no intent for his own safety. It's not a fancy movement. It is just, he gets into the car, he's covered in blood, he's all beat up, he's injured, he's hurt, because he don't care. And that's what makes it so much cooler. And as this goes on, both these guys take this massive beating.
That's what I liked at the end. Like, they're so tired, and they're just like, whatever.
And the only thing pushing them is their hatred for each other. And the one guy has hatred for this guy, and that's the only thing keeping him alive.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy's only job thing is to make sure this other person is safe.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care if this other guy kills him or not, as long as this person's safe. His job.
Yeah.
And the ending to that, their final confrontation is so good. It's like kind of perfect. It's such a perfect.
I gave him a ha-ha.
Yeah.
So
it's a great movie.
Really good movie.
And what's even better. It's one of the movies that we're giving copies away. So if you want to check it out, you go to our contest page at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
Deliver Us from Evil. It's so available good. Now from Wellgo USA.
It is a really good movie. You need to check it out. Don't be one of those, I can't read a movie with subtitles. Get over yourself.
Read shut up.
Reading's good for you. Well, some people didn't. Yeah, but reading is fundamental.
Reading is fundamental.
No, it's actually really good for your brain.
Right, so let's talk about this next one that I had no interest in seeing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Why did we go? You just took me?
Well, I took you, but also because we have a website we run, and I need to review things.
Okay. Cruella.
So the next one is a movie that doesn't need to exist.
Correct.
Called Cruella, that is supposed to be an origin story of Cruella de Vil from the 101 Dalmatians.
Correct.
It is another movie. I don't think this one got delayed. I don't think it was due to come out last year. But
I don't think so.
It got released in theaters, but also for the premiere access on Disney Plus. If you don't want to go to the movie theaters, you can pay, I think, $30 and watch it. Just so you know, when you pay the $30, you now own it on Disney Plus.
Correct.
You can rewatch it anytime you want. Or you just wait until it comes to Disney Plus in a few months.
Correct. Or you can be like us and just go to the theater.
Yeah, we went to the theater to watch it.
You're done.
So what did you think before I give my thoughts, ma'am?
I enjoyed this movie very much. I do understand that it did not need to exist. I don't know that we needed this origin story. And in a way, it creates a little bit of questions on how exactly it would connect to 101 Dalmatians.
It does directly connect.
It connects, but there are some questions. It becomes a little Star Wars. How did she see the kid, not see the kid? Or how do you know my mom was sad all the time when she died? It comes a little bit of that.
That makes sense, the sad thing.
But whatever. Yeah. It creates a little bit of questions. Now, it does connect to 101. Some of the same characters are there.
It is essentially, even though
smart.
it's a Cruella movie,
yes,
it's also a origin story for Horace and is it Jasper and Horace, which are the two bumbling henchmen that you see in the cartoon.
Well, and even the people in 101 Dalmatians, too.
Yeah, but really not so much of them.
They're there. Them
they're not like the other ones.
But they're not there.
The main three characters in the story are those three.
Correct.
Cruella, Jasper, and Horace.
Correct.
Which Horace is played by one of my all-time favorites, Paul Walter Hauser.
Yes.
Who's from I, Tonya. He's been on the recent season of Reno 911. He's turning into Walton Goggins and showing up in everything.
He is.
He was robbed everywhere. On his Oscar nomination for Richard Jewell. He should have got one.
Yes, everybody is talking about how great
look
that
at this. Look, before we move on. Oh, look who liked one of my messages.
Oh, he commented on your message?
That's right.
On our video?
No, I sent him a message, thought he was awesome. And
he was awesome.
He gave me a heart.
Oh, he hearted you.
He's talked to me before. He's actually a friend of another friend of mine.
That's sweet. He was very good in this movie. I also like the man that played Jasper.
Joel Fry, I believe is his name.
Yes. Now, are any of these people actually British?
I think Joel Fry is.
Is he? Okay. Well, everybody did
Mark
good.
Strong, I believe, is too.
Is he?
I don't remember.
And we know Nanny McPhee is.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Emma Thompson.
So
I will always call her Nanny McPhee. I apologize for Nanny.
I went into this movie with no intention. Like one thing, I'm not a big Disney fan anyway.
Correct.
I'm not a fan of 101 Dalmatians. It's an okay movie. Revisiting as an adult, I have a different appreciation of it than I did as a kid. I hated the movie when I was a kid. It's still not a great movie to me, but it was fine. I do think the animated design of Cruella de Vil is probably one of my favorite Disney villains.
Yes.
Even more so than Maleficent. I do that to drive her crazy because she looks like a zombie vampire look because she's so gaunt and even her color and everything else. I think she's just terrifying looking.
Correct.
But like I said, I went to this movie with no intentions to enjoy it. I had no interest in this movie. I didn't even know Paul Walter Hauser was in this movie going into it, or I would have been more excited. But I will say this. I really enjoyed the movie.
Good.
It's really good. It feels very Tim Burton-like.
Yes.
But the director is Paul Gillespie. Did I say that right? Gillespie, something like that?
Craig Gillespie.
Oh, Craig. Okay. He's the director. Same guy that directed I, Tonya and a few other things. but you can see it's got his own little flair to it.
Yes.
So it's not just. I'm not trying to say he's just copying Tim Burton's style.
No.
He's got his own thing, and I felt it came right out of the screen of the animated film.
Correct.
The city and the backgrounds look like it could be in the same place.
And it is a little dark and gritty.
Did you notice in the different times of the different things you're dealing with, the tones of the colors change slightly?
Yes. And depending on who we're dealing with, too.
Yes.
With Cruella or someone else, it's lighter or darker.
And now it is very much The Devil Wears Prada.
A little bit. There is a lot of fashion. There's a lot of interesting clothing and things, which I found to be beautiful and crazy. And I do like that Emma Stone, when she's fully she's just Cruella. And she does have the whiter skin makeup and the thing. And my favorite scene is what? Do you know?
Ooh.
When she's driving the car. Because it is straight out of the cartoon where she's all
she looks like
driving
crazy.
Emma
Stone's really good in the movie. She looks like she's having a blast.
Yes.
Emma Thompson physically looks like the animated version of Cruella de Vil, which
a little bit.
I'm kind of don't know if that's insulting to say that, but in the movie,
it makes sense though.
She has the eyelash kind of thing, and the way they're drawn, and the way that her hats and her wardrobe, and then even her face is because she's older. Like it makes total sense that the comparison of the conjunction of two.
Yeah. She's so good in this too.
And the way the Horace and Jasper are portrayed. There's moments where there's directly out of the cartoon and their outfits, like their vans, different little things with them. It felt like they really went out of their way to try to capture the essence of these characters while doing something new.
I agree.
And I know there's going to be people that are like, well, there's been this whole thing about the Devil Wears Prada connection, which I agree with that, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I also think there's a lot of people like, well, this movie shouldn't exist because they have an issue with why do they need to do what they did with the story and this and this. And there's an element of the story of Corella's mother dying. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's not really a spoiler because that's kind of the opening of the movie to make her an orphan.
Yes.
But that's a Disney staple. Of killing their parents.
You have to have an orphan
kill a parent in
child.
almost every Disney story.
Yes.
The Lion Kings, Bambi's, every movie a parent or both parents die is the catalyst to whatever happens to them later.
Yes.
Now, is the twist that they go in the ending, which I kind of figured out about halfway through they were going to do, is it the way I think they should have done it? Probably not, but it kind of makes more sense for the character's evolution.
Mm-hmm. I was kind of there. I thought it was a little bit different, but the connection was there. But
I have issues like you mentioned earlier, the way it ends, and then there's a mid-credit scene.
Yes,
the mid-credit scene directly connects it back to 101 Dalmatians, which causes some issues for me. But after reading an interview with the director since then, he did mention that there's this whole de-evolution of that character that he would love to see to where we finally see what she was like in the other movie.
Okay.
Because she doesn't fully become what you know her in that thing, which I get it for a movie because maybe you want to hope to make more than that, make a little mini franchise out of it. I don't think that the way they ended it, you could do more than one more.
Correct. There'll just be one more, I think.
But I would be interested to see that.
Oh my gosh.
Did you just put up a different movie?
I did. I didn't mean to. I don't know why that happened. I'm on a different screen.
Anyway.
I apologize.
Well, stop going to different screens.
I wasn't even on that screen for it to do. And
punch you in the noggin. Anyway.
Don't punch me.
This is not a good show.
I apologize.
I'm gonna have to fire our person. Anyway, I actually enjoyed the movie. I'm assuming that you really loved the music in it.
I loved every single song. I was over there, so I'm gonna listen to the soundtrack. Let me add it right now.
And which one was it? I think I read the director also said that Mark Strong was the one that suggested bringing Tina Turner music into it.
It was all good. Every single song was good. It's all like older music. It's so good. So
I was a little off-put by, and I don't understand. I guess I understand why they do it, but I don't see a need to it. Is there's a lot of the dogs in the movies were CGI, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, here I'm gonna save this.
I get it for a couple of scenes, but as a whole, I didn't understand why we needed these little CGI dogs.
Yeah, because some of them were regular dogs.
Yeah, it would.
The cutest was the little dog. There's a little dog with an eye patch. He is
Wink.
Yes, he's the cutest little dog ever.
Like a chihuahua with an eye patch.
It's so cute. The Dalmatians.
The Dalmatians were CGI,
completely.
and so was her dog. Sometimes.
So I don't know.
I get it for certain movements
Maybe
of animals, but it felt like they were
facial.
CGI more often than they weren't.
Yeah.
For no reason other than just to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
That I didn't like that part, but again, it's a movie. Like I said, I didn't expect to like. I ended up having a blast with it. I would watch it again. I think if you're one of those people that are like, ugh, this movie shouldn't exist, you're absolutely correct.
It doesn't need to.
But go watch it for what it is.
It's fun.
Yeah, just go have a good time with it. It
Grab
works.
some popcorn. Have fun.
It works, and it's something different. At least they're diving into a story, not just remaking another one of animated features. They're doing something with a character, just like Maleficent, and telling her story. Those movies didn't animate it either, but the first one I actually really enjoyed. The second one was mediocre, but
it's okay.
It is what it is.
Anyhow,
so,
Cruella.
It is available now in theaters or on Premier Access on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. All right, now we go to the next movie.
The last one is ironic.
Why is this ironic?
Isn't it ironic? It's the life story of Alanis Morissette. No.
Oh.
So this next movie we're talking about is
A Quiet Place 2.
Here, the irony of this was also the first screening we have gone to since things shut down in March of last year.
Correct.
Like press screening.
Correct.
We've obviously been to the movies. This is our first press screening back. It was also the first and last press screening was the first press screening that got canceled right before the pandemic went down.
This was the thing we were supposed to see last March,
and then it got shut down.
And then
they decided to pull it.
No
and
more
all of it
screenings.
And hell hit the world, and that was it. So I found it ironic that the one
this was our first one back.
We were going to be seeing. It's also ironic.
Why?
I was trying to act like the screen froze. No, it's also not really ironic. I'd be being silly at time. It's also one I was the most concerned with.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the first one is so damn good. Trying to follow that up usually doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Like usually you can make a decent one, but it's rare that a follow-up film like that is as good, or at least as good as that one. But so. I guess, should we revisit the first one?
Let's revisit the first one.
All right, so what do you think of the first one? Are you a fan of the first one?
I am a fan of the first one. I am a fan. So here it is right here. It's called A Quiet Place with Jim from The Office.
John Krasinski.
And the new Mary Poppins.
Emily Blunt.
There you go.
Real life husband and wife couple.
Correct. So in modern world, something happens and we don't know what, but suddenly we're being attacked and I guess essentially exterminated.
Kind of creatures.
And we find out that it's by sound, so you have to be quiet.
That's right.
That's why, hence, A Quiet Place. And it follows them and their family just trying to survive.
It's really a family story.
It's about the family.
Yeah.
It's not even about the
monster thing is
it's
something
secondary.
That's it's kind of like The Walking Dead, where it's
Correct.
about the people and they just happen to be dealing with zombies.
Correct. Because this family is dealing with loss and the whole, we talked about this the first time we watched this, about just the blame. Like everyone feels blame and responsibility, but no one's talking about it. And that's why it's the quiet place.
And
That's the irony.
You can't talk about it because it's quiet time.
No, but that's the double meaning of the quiet place is no one is talking about
because aliens, but they're all holding in their feelings
like
and their thoughts.
Every single family member feels responsibility and guilt and shame, but no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
And then the monster secondary. That it's really the story about this family just trying to survive, but can they get through their own emotional issues to even survive that?
It's also another one that kind of, excuse me, it set not a boundary, but it stepped over a boundary of very much like Jordan Peele did with Get Out and Us, where you take a comedic actor or an actor you don't expect in the genre,
correct,
and who not only steps up and directs it, but also co-wrote the film and creates a horror masterpiece of sorts that you don't expect, and then it makes you see them in a new light. Mm-hmm. Like you calling Jim from The Office, I stopped calling him Jim years ago.
I know,
because now
he's so much more.
Now he's Jack Ryan on Amazon.
So good in that.
He was up for Captain America before Chris Evans got it.
He's so manly in this too, with his beard.
Well, that's how he looks in Jack Ryan.
I love it.
So he's an actor that when I heard he was up for Captain America back then, I'm like, what? No. And now, like, I could totally see him. He could have pulled off Captain America. Like, now it's hard to ever see anybody but Chris Evans. But doing this, it made me a little concerned heading into the second one, because I love this movie. But one, from the characters that die in the first one. And I love the ending to this movie because it's an ending that's not an ending. It's the ending that just tells you, we figured this out. We'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what
we're fighting now, and no, you don't need any more.
I agree. That's why I was like, "What are we? How are they? What? Like, why are we out here now?" And two.
Yeah, and
like we were done.
Going into this one. Hold on, let me get to where I can properly tell you people's names.
Here,
well, I have it right here on my review.
All right.
One thing I found interesting is obviously when a movie like this makes a lot of money, there immediately sequel talk.
Correct.
And this was a fairly lower budget movie. It made a lot of money. It got great reviews. So immediately there's talk of a sequel. And there apparently wasn't planning to do a sequel. But one of the things I read about this that Emily Blunt and John Krasinski were talking about is Millicent Simmons. I believe that's how you say her name. Millicent Simmons, who is Simmons. She is one of the oldest daughter in the film, who's actually deaf in real life.
Yes, and she plays deaf in the movie.
She plays deaf in the show, in the movie. She was one of the biggest reasons why he wanted to make the sequel for her.
She is so good, y'all.
Because he wanted her to have a leading film. Because the second one picks up exactly where the first one left off, and it gives you a little hint of how it all started.
Yes.
Quickly, what you see in the trailers.
We learn a little bit more.
Then it jumps ahead after the quick opening, and that opening serves a couple purposes. One, to show how it started and introduce a couple other characters.
Yes, that we need to know.
But then it picks up at the exact moment at the end of this movie, and it goes on this new journey. But this new journey, even though Emily Blunt is front and center with tons of stuff to do, this is really about the two kids and their redemption and growth as I guess adults, if you want to, in this world. Yeah. Especially her, because she's the one that figured out how to kill them and stop them in the first movie. So now it's her figuring out how to help the world of sorts.
Well, and I think because in the first movie, she's one of the people that feels responsible for one of the losses. And towards the end of the movie, the little boy feels responsible for someone else's loss. So now in this film, it is kind of a redemption story. And it is about their growth and learning to deal with this. And at a certain point, and stop being scared and running away, how do we fight back?
Yeah, and what's I always get concerned when I write a review, like I don't like insulting actors. Even if they suck, even if they're jackasses, I try not to insult any person, right? That's just the way I like to write my stuff. I don't think I need to take personal attacks. But in a case like this, when I'm writing a thing and you got somebody like Emily Blunt and John Krasinski working on it, I'm trying to say, like, these kids stole the show and this is their film. Even though Emily Blunt's front and center, it makes you wonder how you're going to feel if somebody was – not that I'm thinking Emily Blunt's running around reading my reviews.
No.
But I read an interview with her and she talked about this is very much their movie.
The fact that they wanted to make the movie for them, for this girl, for this little girl to have a part.
And she found out, from what I understand, she found out about that during an interview. Like, she didn't know that was the reason. She just thought they were making a sequel to a well-done movie. And she knew that Krasinski kind of made this film for his kids because it was like this family dynamic thing. Not for his kids to watch because they were younger, but because of his family.
That it's a family thing.
Yeah. And so going into this new one, I was concerned, like I mentioned earlier, of can it live up to the hype of the first one? Mm-hmm. And for me, I firmly believe that it's as good, if not better, than the first one.
I agree.
It's also one of those that's a continuation of the movie. So it can also be looked at as both movies as one movie.
As one movie. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it's just like part one, part two, because this one does pick up immediately, but it does, similar to the style at first, when we have some flashbacks of before and now.
Did we get any flashbacks in the first one? I don't think we did.
We did a little bit. I thought we did.
I don't think we did it all in the first one.
Yeah.
I think the first one, it's all just...
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
I thought there was one flashback.
No, I don't think so.
Oh. Well, now I got to watch it all over again.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Let me find out.
No, not during... That's when you mess up stuff.
I'm not going to mess anything up. Anyway,
focus on these nice people that are watching this.
The little girl is the best ever. I think she's the
really,
best.
really good.
And I applaud everyone for learning sign language, by the way.
Can I just say, we don't see enough Cillian Murphy.
He is a little bit creepy, though.
He is, but he's such a great actor. I was
He's
so
good
happy
in
to
this.
see him in this.
Yes, and not being creepy.
Yeah, and being a normal guy, but
because I'm used to him being creepy.
But you keep wait. I like the way they set his character up because he's kind of the new John Krasinski character for the show. Not in a relationship situation, but kind of the male figure for the story. But he's dealing with his own stuff and his own drama. But when he shows up, everything they do with him, every sign points to creepy agenda. And none of that's there. Yeah. And I love that. And it was him dealing with his own issues from everything that's going on. And so them kind of finding him is kind of what helped save him as well. It kind of helped his arc. He needed these people to show him that it was okay. Yeah. You can move on and move forward. And at the same time, at the very end of the movie, you get these big redemption moments for the kids where they both get to rise up and be kind of badasses while still not an unbelievable way. And I like that, too, in this, we get to find out what's happened to some other people besides just his family, because we've been focused on just them and their experience. Well, in the first movie, the only thing you get really outside of that is there's that scene in the first one where they run into that guy in the woods who's burying his wife. Yeah. And then he doesn't want to live anymore, so he screams so the creature will attack. We also know in the first movie that there are other people alive because they light watchtowers. Yeah. So we know there are some other people alive, but we don't know anything else besides that. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's so good. And I think you get a little more monster action in the second movie, but they didn't overbearing it and take it away from the story of the people. Correct. One of the things I just recently read, I was going to tell you about. There's an awesome action sequence. It's in the trailer, so this isn't a spoiler, where you see Emily Blunt's character driving, trying to escape. And all of a sudden, she's driving backwards with a bus chasing her. That's her driving. It really was? Yeah. They said they rehearsed the scene. They did all this stuff. And I think if I understood the article right, I might be wrong. I think he was in the backseat filming with her. And he said this takes off, and then she's going, and that bus is going like 40 miles an hour. And that's really her driving and stuff. And he's like, did I just end my marriage? And so it's pretty interesting. But I would like to say it also is a big deal for this movie's release, because it is not only the top movie of the weekend, okay? So if you think about any numbers that we've had with pandemic-era films, we haven't had a lot of very big numbers. We haven't had anything big. This movie made $48.3 million this week, or it's an estimated making $48.43. And with the Monday thing, they're expecting the 4-day total to be almost $60 million, which is the biggest opening since March of last year's Sonic the Hedgehog. Wow. And that was a good movie, too. And that's a fun movie. Sonic 2 is coming. Is it? Yes, it is. Are we going to find out what happened? What's his name? You're going to see Tails. You're going to see a bunch of stuff, yeah. Okay. With who? Jim Carrey? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming he'll be back. Because he got deserted on that. Yeah, yeah. So it's the biggest movie since February of last year. That's right before everything shut down. With Cruella behind it a little bit. Cruella. It's already made, like 70 million worldwide. But I think the movie that's going to really punch the box office, what do you think it's going to be? What's coming up? You got Black Widow. You got the Fast and Furious movie. Fast and Furious. Because I think you'd be correct, because Fast and Furious overseas. Oh my gosh. It's been out overseas for a little while now. I just lost it. Where's that? Oh, here it is. Overseas, the movie, it's got 85% of it in China or whatever. It has already made $229 million overseas. And it hadn't even opened here yet. That's awesome. So it is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm excited. That is telling us that box office is trying to start coming back. And one of the things I've loved during pandemic time movies is that studios were getting smart and just re-releasing old movies to try to keep theaters working, to give people out something that were willing to go. And so this week, another movie that opened on 80 screens that hit the charts, made $347,000 was World War Z that Paramount re-released for some weird reason. Hey, you know what? People are into zombies. Yeah, nobody knows why that one was one of the ones that got released, but it got released. Makes them more money. So anyway, Quiet Place made a lot of noise at the box office. Hey. It's not only the number one, but also, like I said, one of the biggest openings, which is a good sign for theaters. Maybe they're making their comeback. Cruella didn't do as well, even though it opened at number 2. But it also had the Disney Plus option, where Quiet Place did not have that. Cruella only made $21 million or something, or I think it's 26. But it also had the $30 option that they don't usually put into that for the Disney Plus. So who knows how many people did that.
So who knows?
Anyway,
it was good.
But I love Quiet Place 2. They also
too.
gave us these really cool promotion of this little stick here. And we waited. We're going to see if it works.
I hope it works.
Did they give us something good or did they give us trash?
Who knows? Crack it.
Doesn't work.
Crack it.
I'm going to break it. Oh, instantly. Instant. And it's red too.
That means it's an emergency.
So we now
danger, Will Robinson.
We are now safe from Quiet Place Part 2 that says it right there.
But how are we going to communicate? Our sign language, we don't know sign
like
language.
this, I'm gonna like.
You need to learn sign language.
I know sign language.
No, don't do that. We're on a show. We're on a family show.
Are we?
Yes.
Are we though?
Well, I try to be. You messed it up.
Quiet Place 2 is exclusively in theaters, so you need to go check it out.
Go check it.
It is a movie. Also, I could hear most of it.
Oh, good.
But thankfully, we came out of something else out of this. It gave her a different understanding of what I deal with, because there's a scene in the movie where the little girl is talking to somebody else who's talking to her with his voice. She's deaf, and she's not able to read his lips because he didn't
enunciate.
Yes, and so when she said, it sparked two things. She started going, I need to enunciate more. I'm like, yes, you do. But for me, I started noticing that when she said that and he started enunciating, I started hearing more of the stuff on the screen. I could understand more of what they were saying.
Hmm.
You know, so it's helped me because I'm getting deaf. Hopefully I won't ever go fully deaf, but
I hope not.
I'm to the point where I need hearing aids, and I have to. If you heard the other show about Saw, that I had to get things. But I will say, when we went and saw Cruella,
how was that?
I did not. Yeah, we hadn't talked about that.
Because that was in a different theater.
It was in a Dolby instead of an IMAX, and I had a theory that IMAX might have been part of my problem. I did not get the very obnoxious closed caption thing they give you, because they want to say, "Hey, we know you can't hear, but we're going to tell everybody else you're deaf with this gigantic tool." I heard about 98% of that movie.
Oh, good. I'm
Dolby.
glad.
There was a couple times I was like, but it was better.
Good.
So
Dolby's the way to go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the
I don't particularly care for IMAX anyway. I prefer Dolby.
You just like the squishy chairs.
I like rumble seats.
Those seats don't rumble. It's just them vibrating
Well,
chairs.
it rumbles.
Although there are theaters you can go to the seat itself.
I know. Remember, we went to that one and we got to test the chairs out, and they were like all over.
Anyway, Quiet Place 2 is in theaters now.
It's very good.
Check it out. It's so good.
Very good.
And John Krasinski does show up in the movie.
Yes, he does. So there you go.
That's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. Fool.
Correct.
All right. What else you got?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, let's.
So now we're over to you.
Over to me, Jim. All right. So this week there's all kinds of stuff coming out.
Okay.
We're hitting a new month. We're hitting the summer. Passing the holidays. So by Tuesday we're into a regular life again of the summer. So this week we got The Courier, which we used our Disney movie we watched with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
And Jodie Foster, I believe.
Correct.
Or no.
No, it's not.
Benedict Cumberbatch is the one where he's the salesman.
Yes.
That takes the spies and all that stuff.
Yes. It's the spy.
They're putting out the complete first season of Primal, which is so good. You're gonna watch it and talk about it in the show.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a completely silent series. There is no dialogue in the show.
Love it. You don't need it.
It's a lot of grunts and growls.
You showed me that scene.
Yeah, it's a lot of grunts and growls. Spare Parts that we talked about today is coming out. A movie called Boogie.
Boogie.
Not about boogers.
Oh.
About basketball or something, I think.
Okay.
The movie called Endangered Species with Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine O'Connell together, and I think that's the one where you thought was kind of silly, whatever, but they get stuck fighting with animals or something.
Yeah, but we're gonna watch it.
Probably in theory. A movie called Shoplifters of the World, which I think is a documentary. I think about some band or something.
Huh.
The movie called Embattled with what is his name? I always get blank. Stephen Dorff, the coolest man on the planet.
Oh, I love him. He just walks on and he's like cool.
He's just
rugged.
badass everywhere he goes.
I like that TV show. It's too bad that they didn't
only made
renew
one
it.
season.
Yeah.
Well, I read a lot of people got all pissy about the show because his partner was that non-binary, that black-haired girl that's on everything. They're like, oh, pushing your agendas on us or whatever.
No, they were in California, and
People
I'm assuming
there's already people talking about that on that Big Shot show we're watching. I saw somebody talked about the first few episodes like, oh, this show's already trying to push these agendas and these feelings and this and that. It's just bullshit. And
some people
like, wow.
believe that they're in love with you. What's wrong with that?
No. Stop. Hey, come here.
Hey, stop later.
Also, they're putting out the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider films on 4K 2-pack.
Oh, nice. I'm trying to put the dog under the table.
Yeah, that'll be coming out this week. So back to you, Jim.
All right. Coming out at the movie theater this Friday. It's already June. Can you believe it? I know,
this Friday I'm excited.
Okay, there's a movie coming out that I really want to watch. It's a little animated feature called Spirit Untamed. So it's another one of those, the horse
of the Cimarron or something?
Yeah, Spirit movie.
Yeah, Spirit.
So,
Horse of the Cimarron.
Yes, this one looks so cute. I was already about to cry just at the little trailer. It's so
the animation
cute.
Looks
I love it. Then also coming out, that's another animated musical called Vivo, following a honey bear. And it looks cute, and we're going to watch that. It's Lin-Manuel Miranda in a little animated musical about a honey bear. So we're watching that. Now, this is Bobby's movie coming out. We're going to be doing a movie marathon. We will talk about this next week. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Part 3.
It's not part. This is
the third one of the
Conjuring series, but there's more in the Conjuring universe.
You have 3 Annabelle movies. You have
the 2 Conjurings.
Hold on. 2 Conjuring, 3 Annabelles, Live La Vida Loca.
La Llorona.
The Nun. I think that's it.
Okay. It's a lot of movies. So now we're to this. What's cool about this is they could make several movies and movies.
Well, it is now known as the Conjuring universe. So
these people did all of this work.
And Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, both of them have said that they like playing these characters, so they probably keep playing them.
Did they have anything to do with Amityville?
Yes.
This couple?
They did the Amityville horror thing. That was their most famous thing. They kind of gave them thing, And they haven't really.
I'm already getting nervous about watching all these movies.
Don't quote me on this. People watching, it's been a while since I've sat and watched them, but we'll be reminded. I think there's reference to the Amityville in one of the movies.
Perhaps.
That either they just finished it or they talk about it. But I don't remember. But they purposely have avoided that one in the story because they're like, there's been 35 movies in the entire movie franchise. So they're trying to do other stories. That's one of the coolest things about the third Annabelle movie. Was it got to dive into all these different demons and stuff that they already have in their collection without having to tell a whole story.
Correct. So we could go into each one of those, and we did when
there's a samurai one that I would so wish they would.
That's what I wanted to know. So the Conjuring tour van came through.
That was the Annabelle tour van.
It was creepy Annabelle because it had different artifacts. So I'm like, they could do a movie on each one of these artifacts. Yeah. It would be really interesting.
That was the Annabelle Comes Home tour. We drove to downtown Dallas, and we thought it was this big thing, and it ended up being like a trailer. It was cool. It was cool. It was big RV. It just wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
It was a big rig truck with the full thing.
When you go into it, and you're walking through their archive.
Oh, no.
You have this room you sat in, it took a picture, and then Annabelle's behind you all of a sudden.
It was creepy. The rocking chair was rocking. I was like, oh, no. When it's rocking, don't bother knocking.
Always not.
Anyhow, I am intrigued by this because I absolutely believe in
their
work.
And this new one is based on the actual court case. It was one of the first cases where it was not claimed by the victim of insanity, but of possession.
Correct.
They're literally saying they did these murders because they were possessed by the devil.
That trailer is intriguing because he's like, hey, we believe in God because you make us do the juramento when we get in the chair. But so why do you not believe in the devil? I'm like, boom.
But of course, they're going to go in more the horror direction and play up their stuff.
Correct. But I'm scared already. Okay. This next movie, have you heard anything about this? It's called Samaritan.
Is it coming out?
Sylvester Stallone. I don't think it's coming out yet. Can you check and see?
I know all about this movie.
Okay,
but I haven't seen anything. Let me check because I haven't seen Stallone posted. I think it might be one of those that was due to come out.
Oh, okay, so it's not. So don't quote us on that, even though it's showing up on this list.
Yeah, because he plays like a retired superhero that comes back, and it's.
Okay, this next one's called Undine or Undine. I don't know. It's about a water spirit in the world, and something happens, and she wants to return to the water, and something crazy is going to happen. Chasing Wonders. This is interesting. It's a documentary of a boy following his dreams, but it's shot over a 5-year period. So it's a really interesting, literally following this little boy trying to go on his adventure through the mountains. So it's interesting. Then this one is weird looking, but maybe interesting. Grace and Grit, the true story of the philosopher Ken Wilber and his wife. What's making it interesting for me is it's Stuart Townsend, and I love him, and Mina Suvari, who I also enjoy. It's based on the book of his life, so I'll probably watch it if there's somewhere I can find it. There you go.
It just right now it still says it's in post-production.
Okay,
so I know they finished it.
Don't quote us that the movie.
I don't think it's
what
coming
is it
out
called?
yet. It's called Samaritan.
Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone's coming out. It's just been listed here. Who knows? Okay.
I'll have to go look. Because I follow him on Instagram, and he's been talking about Rocky IV director's cut that's coming out, and I haven't heard him talk about Samaritan in a while.
I am excited about that Rocky IV release. So there you go. All right, babe. What else you got?
I guess talk about the giveaways. Now, we're going to have to go old school with our giveaways this week because I haven't had a chance to update the site.
Okay, so tell me what's going on.
Now, there's a couple of things on the site that will probably still have to go through the inventory, see what's still left. But I do have 4 things that are going to be replacing some other stuff. So, like, I believe, like, the Little Things and Raya and the Last Dragon, and I think the Marksmen are all coming to an end. And then we'll see what else is available. So, basically, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we got.
Okay.
So, shift back over here so I can see what I'm doing here. All right, so we're giving away copies of a movie called Undercover Punch and Gun, which is a martial arts action flick from Well-Go USA.
Well-Go.
Ironically enough, we got like 2 Well-Go USAs. We have another one called The Great War of Archimedes. That's also a Well-Go USA. This one's interesting because it says it's
naval.
It says pre-World War II, the Japanese Navy commissioned the creation of impressive supership Yamato, strongly opposed by top official, insisting on more strategic and battle-ready warships. But after being ignored that cause, Admiral Yamamoto recruits a math genius to help uncover what he soon suspects is a massive conspiracy.
That could be cool.
Sinking of the world's largest battleship.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
So it's a very interesting war-type movie. So this, like I said, it's not all...
I love hearing like other wartime stories, like from other countries.
And this one's Japanese. This one's from Japan. This one is Mandarin. So it's Chinese. So we got Chinese and Mandarin. So not everything they do is martial arts. This one's action martial arts. This one's war.
Love it.
Intrigue. We're also giving away, ironically, a copy of the 4K 2-pack of Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider franchise. Not a fan of these movies, but she is good as the character. The first movie's okay. The second movie's trash. But she's decent. She's good at the character.
She looks good as the character.
But I do prefer the new Tomb Raider movie over these two, which they are doing a second one of. I'm very excited with Alicia Vikander or whatever her name is. Vanderfusen.
Yeah.
No, it's Vikander.
Is it?
Yeah, she's the chick from El Machina.
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, thank you. And this might be a big one for some people. We're giving away a copy of Supernatural, the complete 15th and final season. So if you're a fan of Supernatural, if you've been collecting it, here you go. If you're not a fan of Supernatural, here you go.
Where have you been?
If you thinking about it but just want to know how it all came to an end, here you go.
Have your tissues ready.
If you don't have any of them and you've been thinking about starting that set,
you should.
It's
such a good show.
They did also release, not only did they release this one, which we do not have a giveaway copy of, but they didn't even send me a copy of it, or I'd have it sitting out here to talk and brag and say, look what I got, ladies and gentlemen. They released a complete series on Blu-ray as well.
Full big thing.
It's a big-ass box. I was told I was getting one, but alas.
Lies.
I did not get
Just
it.
Kidding.
But there is another big box set I'm looking forward to that I hopefully get. There's a couple of giveaways coming up that I'm excited about too to hopefully have soon, but these will be the next 4 that go up. So be on the lookout and get your entries in fast.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We went a little long, but we talked a lot.
Did we?
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Don't forget to go click on that contest button. That is where it's at. Don't forget to find us on Facebook at Hollywood Matrimony, YouTube at Hollywood Matrimony. Is it Instagram at Hollywood Matter? And
no, it's Instagram. It's
Hollywood Matrimony. Twitter is Hollywood Matter, MATR.
And if you enter the contest, one of the requirements of entering our contest is you have to go like all of those things But if you're like, I don't like these things because I don't like getting binged all the time, you can like them and unfollow them or turn off notifications. So all of my friends, all the people I don't know that go and look at all this stuff, because we get hundreds and thousands of views on some things, but then nobody subscribes to it sometimes. If you just go subscribe, turn off notifications, you never got to watch our show. You never got to hear from me, but we at least get the numbers. So I have more fun things to give you for free.
That's the thing. That's how we get more free stuff.
They look at numbers. They don't care about how fun our show is. They don't watch this crap. They look at how many people watch your show. And we're not monetized. We're not trying to be monetized for our shows. We do it for fun. But the more numbers you get, the more subscriptions you get, the more followers you have, the more of this stuff they give away.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger stuff they give away.
Yeah.
So if you want some fun box sets and stuff, then you got to get out there and register. And I do my best to weed out people and try to say, not this one person can't win all the contests. I try to make sure everybody wins something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I pick them at random, but if I know I pick somebody that just won something, I will put them to the side. I know it may not sound fair to you, but I'm not going to let the same person win all the time. Correct. Everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week.